How many of you have gone out to eat and found something in your food? Personally, I went out to a restaurant one time and was about to bite into a mozzarella stick when I noticed there was a clump of hair on it, which was obviously extremely gross. But no matter what I've found, or what you may have found in your food, nothing compares to finding a human finger. In 2005, a story drew international headlines and convinced millions of people to think twice about eating at Wendy's. It also cost the popular food chain millions of dollars in lost business, all because of this woman, Ana Ayala. One day she was dining in a Wendy's in San Jose, California, eating a cup of chili, when suddenly she bit down on a partially cooked human finger. Ana rightfully sued Wendy's, and who wouldn't if they just found a human finger in their food? It was this huge story and got tons of media coverage, both locally and nationally.
And suddenly I chew something that's kind of hard, crunchy, spit it out. At first I wasn't sure what it was.
However, after a very detailed police investigation, it was determined that the finger did not come from the Wendy's. The Santa Clara County coroner concluded that the finger was not consistent with an object that had been cooked in chili at 170 degrees for 3 hours. This had police turning their attention back to Ana and her husband. A month later, the couple were arrested and charged and pleaded guilty to their charges. And here is the crazy story of what actually happened. Ana's husband, James, worked at an asphalt company in Las Vegas. James had a coworker named Brian. Brian was a blue-collar type of guy. He lived in a trailer park, he worked hard, and in late 2004, he lost the tip of his finger while operating a mechanical truck lift at work. This put Brian out of work for weeks. He had to get reconstructive surgery and was laid up at home while he recovered from the accident. Around this time, Brian just so happened to owe James $50 for a debt. The reason for that debt is unknown, but whatever, he owed him $50. But James tells his coworker Brian, "Don't worry about the $50, just give me your fingertip that got cut off in the accident and we'll call it even." It was a strange request, but Brian didn't have a lot of money to pay off this debt, so he agreed. And he gave the severed fingertip to James. And sure enough, months later, it was this fingertip that would wind up in his wife's food at Wendy's. Now from the beginning, Wendy's knew that the finger didn't come from their kitchen and wasn't put there by any of their staff. So days after the incident, they put out a $100,000 reward for any information leading to the origin of that finger. James's boss at the asphalt company and his coworker Brian, whose finger was the one in the chili, saw this and came forward to police. They told them the story of how Brian had lost his finger at work and gave it to James to settle a debt, but he had no idea what James was going to do with the finger. At one point, police theorized that perhaps all three individuals, James, Ana, and Brian, were in on this scheme together. That Brian gave his fingertip to James, who would give it to his wife Ana, and then she would pretend to find it in her food, sue Wendy's, and then all of them would just share the settlement money. But upon questioning Brian, they found that he had nothing to do with this hoax. This was a plan that Ana and James had concocted all on their own. In fact, in the month that Ana and James were accused of this whole Wendy's fraud, like just a week earlier, James had been arrested in a completely separate case for failing to pay $400,000 in child support from a previous relationship and using false identification to avoid paying taxes. He had been assuming the name and social security number of his son to avoid having his wages garnished. So it's likely that this couple was having financial issues and saw this Wendy's scam as a way out. In September 2005, Ana and James pleaded guilty to conspiring to file a false claim and attempted grand theft. Ana was sentenced to 9 years in prison and banned from all Wendy's locations for life. Her husband James was sentenced to 12 years and 4 months. They were also ordered to pay Wendy's $21.2 million in restitution, which will obviously never happen. While it's unknown exactly how the couple preserved the finger in the months prior to planting it in the bowl of chili, Ana would admit that she had cooked the finger herself to make it appear as if it had been cooked in the kitchen at that Wendy's location. That's it for today's episode. If you find these scam videos interesting or helpful to you, be sure to subscribe and turn on all notifications so you can be alerted every time I post a new scam. Remember, hearing about it just may save you from falling for it. So until next time, keep your eyes open for scams.